Over this past weekend, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania made $120 million. Now that makes it the highest grossing Ant-Man movie in the entire trilogy. Having said all that, is it any good? Here's my review. Quantumania takes place after the events of Endgame, obviously, and we see Scott Lang living his day-to-day life through San Francisco, and he's basically a celebrity at this point. He has a book out talking about what he did during Endgame, and he's basically treated like a hero everywhere he goes. And living the celebrity life is all great for Scott, but he does miss the time that he missed with his daughter, Cassie. So he was gone for 5 years during the snap. She grows up without a dad, and now that he's back in her life, he can't help but feel regret and want that time back with her. Hope, Hank, and Janet are all doing great. They're basically using their resources and really thriving in the world of science. All 5 of our heroes are very quickly thrust into the quantum realm because Cassie has been sending signals down there for weeks. She's trying to make contact with anything that's in the quantum realm. So naturally, a portal opens up and sucks them all in. There they will meet King the Conqueror, who will use whatever means necessary to get out of the quantum realm. Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors are Scott Lang and King. Hey, that kind of rhymed. And they are the 2 standouts in the entire movie. Scott Lang is one of the most funny, charismatic characters in the entire MCU. He does not stop in this movie. He is one of the most likable things about the movie. He really carries all of the heroes through this entire movie because the other characters don't really get that much to do. Scott is the focal point of this movie, along with, when we finally get King on screen, he's the complete polar opposite of what everyone's talking about. Everyone built him up to be this super strong, crazy destroyer. And when we first get him on screen, he's very calm, eerily calm, but calm, and very collected, very methodical of what he does and what he says. That plays really well into the movie later on. When he gets frustrated or angry or anything like that, he loses it. And seeing the wide range of acting skills from Jonathan Majors is really, really impressive. Along with King the Conqueror, we also get Cassie Lang, who is Scott's daughter. She's recast in this movie, and really, she holds her own throughout the whole movie. She's likable enough. But she always seems like she's just kind of tagging along. She doesn't really have too much to do except the plot point to get us into the quantum realm to carry the story on. The MCU has a very unique way of telling a story. They have this overarching story with all the movies building upon each other. And one of the drawbacks of doing it that way is that if a movie is being put out, they have this little bit of information, this plot point that will carry on into the upcoming movies. But the issue with doing it that way is that it doesn't always do it, but it can bring down the actual significance of the movie that it's in, where the movie that it's in feels like filler. And Quantumania feels like one of the biggest examples of that. I think I can speak for a lot of people when I say that Marvel has been trying to find its footing after Endgame. I mean, it's been over 3 years since the end of Endgame, and we're just now getting our next big villain, our next Thanos. Looking at this chart from IGN, we can see that Phase 4 is already 49.5 hours into storytelling, and we just now get the villain of what they've been trying to build up for since the end of Endgame. I know the MCU needs to establish new characters. I know that not every single movie, not every story beat is going to progress the overarching story, but it has taken way too long to get here. And now that we get here and we get another Ant-Man movie, it just feels like more filler with the intention of just introducing this villain that they should have done a long time ago. Another issue I have with this movie is the writing. The lead up to the quantum realm, the reason we get to the quantum realm was just unbelievable. Unbelievable in my opinion. Michelle Pfeiffer's character, who was trapped in the quantum realm for 30 years, gets out, finally, into a world of superheroes. She finds out there's all these superheroes going around, and she doesn't mention King then. She snapped from existence from Thanos for 5 more years, comes back, and still doesn't talk about King? As in like, hey, let's try to avoid that again. Because I know a guy who's just as strong. But I'm not gonna mention anything until they get sucked in. It's just, I feel like they could have prepared for King a lot better because of her. And the fact that she didn't say anything up to that point, I didn't like that. Now, while this is no train wreck like Thor: Love and Thunder, the humor in this movie still seems a little bit uneven. Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, all of that comedy that he does feels organic. It feels natural. It doesn't feel forced. It feels fine. A lot of other characters in this movie, the jokes that they make, the things that they do, seem very out of place, badly written, not the time for that. Marvel has this trend where there's a lot of serious moments in their movies, but they're always broken up by a joke. They never let us take in what's happening in the movie and just let us leave with that. They never let us take a serious moment and digest it. It's always broken up by a joke. And in this movie, there's a redemption arc that's just completely ruined because there's just a joke repeatedly throughout the whole time. Like, we can't take what's happening seriously because of these jokes that Marvel just continuously puts in their movies. I'm really torn on this movie. Marvel has been giving us filler shows and movies ever since the end of Endgame. Not all of them are filler, I don't want to come off like that, but a lot of them aren't really contributing to the overarching story, which is to get to Kang. This movie also makes a big mistake by doing too much and too little at the same time. The movie moves so fast because it just wants to get to Kang and understand who he is, why we should care about him, and be afraid of him. But then the rest of it is just filler, when it could have built upon Scott's relationship with everyone else in the movie. There was room for all that, but it was clear that this movie had one goal, and that was to give us Kang. Overall, I'm gonna give this movie a D+. Paul Rudd and Jonathan Majors are the only saving grace to this movie because this movie is filler. It basically just had one goal, and that was to give us Kang the Conqueror for the overarching story, which is what I've been talking about this whole time. That's what we wanted, but the movie seems so hollow and shallow, where the only important bit of information is one character who is gonna be more important going forward. Having said that, I do admit that Marvel has gained a bit of my interest back. I think going forward, Marvel is on the right track, as long as they give us more of Kang in the next couple movies or shows, because he's supposed to be the future of the MCU, so give us more of that. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Have you seen the movie yet? Let me know down in the comment section below. Click that like button, click that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. And until next time, see you later.